Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's webinar, where we'll be looking at the benefits of uploading term-to-date data. I trust you all are having a great day, and I would like to emphasize how much we appreciate you making time to be with us on these webinars that we usually do every Thursday and Friday. Without wasting any time, I think it's best that we start so that you can all see what we have for you today in store. My name is Janki Litea. I'm coming live to you from Northern Cape, and then I will be leading this session. I'm not alone. I will be facilitating with my colleague, Musa Similani. Musa is coming live to you in Joburg. He's in Gauteng at head office. So he'll be my co-facilitator. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let me invite you to engage with Musa and myself using the chat platform, as I will be busy facilitating. You don't have to wait for me to ask for questions, as I'm busy progressing, going through the content for the day. Please, you feel free to use the Q&A, not the chat box. Let's rather use the Q&A option there at the bottom to ask your questions, and then Musa and myself will be most happy to respond to them. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's start today's session. And then before we start, I would like us to go through our rules in terms of how the webinar is going to be conducted, so that you know what's going to happen, and then how to engage with us throughout the session. The first point is that if you lose a signal and leave the Zoom session, please do not worry. You can click the link and rejoin the session as soon as your connection is restored. The very same link that you used to join in now, you can use it again to rejoin should your connection be cut off. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A button, at the bottom there. These questions will be answered in the Q&A chat during the presentation. So it's like I said, as I'll be busy progressing, please engage with us using the Q&A button there, and then Musa will be more than willing, and myself, to attend to your questions. If answers on the Q&A chat are not clear, please raise your hand during the Q&A period at the end of the session, and we'll try to emphasize or elaborate more on the answers that are not clear to you. All webinars are recorded. So within approximately 24 hours, the presentation, and then all the presentation will be sent to you together with the attendance and the recording. So this means all the people who have joined us today, at the end of this session, the same way that you received the invitations to join in, you are going to receive access to the attendance register, the recording, and the slides that I'm going to use today. All attendees are on mute during the session, but if errors occur, you are requested to kindly mute yourself and avoid disturbances during the webinar. So let's all make sure that we are on mute, and then maybe we'll unmute you if you want to raise a question. We value your feedback, so the humble request is for you to take time to answer the poll questions during or after the sessions. Normally, we launch them on the last 15 minutes of the session. The polls will be launched by Musa, and then please just participate on them so that we can better prepare for the future coming webinars, so that we deliver them to the best of our ability, and then we meet your needs as well, your expectations as well. The last item is that please note that the DDD webinars are recorded and published on our DDD dashboard YouTube channel. So this allows other education officials to access the recordings in their own time and benefit from the content provided. Should you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact the DDD help desk. So this means this recording is going to be sent to you. At the same time, it's going to be published on our DDD YouTube channel for our officials who knows the channel to easily access it from there. I'm quickly going to run through the session objectives before we start, so that at least we know what is the objective of the session to you at the end of the session as you go back to your different work roles. We are going to describe what is term-to-date submission. Now that we are at the beginning of the term, that's when you'll be hearing about term-to-date and when to do it. So we are going to touch on what we are going to explain what is term-to-date data submission. And then we're going to list the key benefits of weekly submissions to you, why it is important, what's in it for you to honor these weekly submissions. Then we're going to demonstrate how to check and update older versions of the older value structure versions, because this one is also important, because if you do not do the steps that I'm going to explain to you now, then you are going to struggle with your weekly submissions as you are expected to submit from tomorrow. So I'm going to ask that we pay attention to that part so that we don't struggle to do our weekly submissions tomorrow. We are going to demonstrate how to check and update SASM's page. And then lastly, we are going to explore the DDD dashboard term-to-date tab. Ladies and gentlemen, with this being said, and then the objectives being outlined to you, let me go straight to it and say, what is term-to-date? So what do we mean by term-to-date or weekly submissions? So the question is, what is weekly term-to-date or weekly submissions? So how we explain the weekly submissions, we say it's a term-to-date. We say term-to-date is the school's weekly submissions. The submissions that you do each and every Friday, we refer to them as your weekly term-to-date submission. The data that is submitted weekly will be found under this tab. It gives a summary of the school's data in real time. The following data can be found under term-to-date tab: educator attendance as of submission week, learner attendance as of submission week, task coverage, which is going to be the percentage of tasks captured as of the submission week. This tab can help SMTs, subject advisors, and circuit managers to monitor the percentage of tasks captured, attendances of learners, and educators. The schools are advised to capture all their tasks as they are administered to make monitoring easy and to be able to plan interventions for the struggling learners. So ladies and gentlemen, in short, the term-to-date is your Friday submissions. Tomorrow is Friday, you are going to submit. That is what we talk about. That is the submission that we are referring to when we say term-to-date. So next week, when you log on to the dashboard, you are going to see your school submission as of last week. Remember, we have final validation and term-to-date. Final validation is that one at the end of the term. But this one, it makes it easy to monitor because it's giving you your school's data in real time as of last week. If you want to see the attendance for your school for last week, this is the tab that you use. The circuit managers or other senior management, they want to see how your schools how the schools under them is progressing with regards to the capturing or administering of tasks in the schools. They use the term-to-date tab because that's the tab that gives you your school's information as of last week. That is why we encourage the school that the last line that says, on Friday, before you do your weekly submissions, you need to make sure that all the work that was done during the week, as long as that work has been completed, has been marked, has been monitored and validated, then you capture it on the system so that as you progress with the term, we can clearly, and you as the principals, you can clearly have a better eye view of what's happening in your school by using this tab that says, by using the tab term-to-date. Now, what are the benefits of submitting term-to-date? Why must you do this weekly submissions? Why is it important? Why is it critical? Number one is that these weekly submissions, they support the district to improve term-to-date. That will allow districts a visibility of weekly attendance of learners and educators. Ladies and gentlemen, if we honor these submissions, we don't have to be getting calls from officials asking us about certain attendance-related questions. because most of our officials, if not all of them, they have access to the tool. So if maybe they are interested in knowing, the circuit manager is interested in knowing how was the performance for last week within their circuits, they don't have to call you one by one as schools and then be asking this information. They can immediately log on to the dashboard, and then they will have the attendance in a circuit view for all their schools, or in the district view if it is the district officials, or you as a principal if you want to see how your schools attended last week at the beginning of the term, so that you have insights of what's happening in your schools with regards to attendance. This is your tab. It also helps to plan early interventions, especially regarding absent educators. Remember, we said this is your data in real time as of last week. That's why it makes it easy for you to monitor and plan interventions regarding to absenteeism. It also helps you to meet monthly or weekly reporting requirements, because your data will be up to date. If you get a request maybe asking for a certain report, you don't have to worry and pull your SMT outside from the classes and then you sit the whole day doing analysis, crunching numbers. You just throw a report from the dashboard and then you submit it, because it will be having your weekly data as it is from your school. That's why it is important that you validate it each and every week before it is uploaded, because the analysis can be made from that data that you are submitting. Regular backup of schools databases. So the more you get yourself used to doing the weekly submissions, the more easy it is for you to be able to have a backup. Should anything happen to your school's database, you don't have to worry. You can always go to your nearest district office and request for a copy of your database, and then that way you'll be okay. Be up to date with their own data. That will speed up the final term submissions. If we honor our term to date, and then with each submission we implement best practices on data management, then at the end of the term, final validation process is going to happen smoothly. Why? Because we have been monitoring our tasks from the day one of the term, and then each and every week, whichever task was administered, it's captured on the system. That means at the end of the term, when it says it speeds up the process, we are only busy with the last task of the term. Or if we have an exam on that particular term, we are just waiting for the exam, and then we are good. Immediately once the exam is submitted and then it's marked, we capture it, and then we can do our final validation. We don't have to be looking at term one tasks now busy being captured at the end of the term. No, we are done with that. We are only focusing on the last assessments or the exam that needs to be done for the term, and then we are good. And then accurate allocation of school resources and services. So it also makes it easy for resources to be allocated to the schools. It makes it easy for our GBE to deliver on the mandate of service delivery to the schools by providing the schools with the resources that they need based on the data that they are submitting. You are asking for an additional educator or a remedial teacher. Your data needs to tell us that, needs to inform the department that school X is in need of remedial teacher because they have X number of learners with burial needs. So already your data is doing the work for you. Yours is just to motivate. That's why we are saying it is important that we keep our data up to date, so that it makes things easy for us in return when it comes to our request to the department. Before I start with the session, I want to emphasize the fact that now that we are in term one and it's a new year, and I know that we had problems with SSMs whereby we were not able to do some of the things. And then with that resulting in the schools not being able to submit. And this is the problem that we saw a lot last year. So this year, as we start the year, I want to invite each and every one of you who attended here today, and also speak with your colleagues as well, to make sure that for tomorrow, for your submission to be a success, you need to make sure that you are running on 21.0.0 patch SSMs. It is already available in Tuto. So my request is that let's make sure that our systems are running on this latest patch, so that tomorrow your submission, when you do your term to date, it goes through easily without any problems. That's my first request. And then what do you do if you are using an outdated version of SASMs? You simply visit the National Tutoring website, and then on the website, that's where you'll be able to see the latest patch, and then you download it. And then after downloading it, it will be saved on your system. And then in your system is going to be saved under, the downloads. Immediately after downloading it from Tutoring website, then on your system, you're going to find it under downloads, and then you open downloads, and then you come to SASMs patch 20.1.1, and then you right click on the patch, and then you go to the option that says extract all. Because if it is zipped, then it will not be easy for you to run it. You have to unzip it first. That's why you need to right click on this folder. And then after right clicking it, you come to these options that says extract all. After extracting all, then you have this option where you need to confirm to say, yes, I want to extract the database to this location. You don't have to change anything here. Immediately just jump down here to say extract all, and then it will run. And then after doing that, your zipped folder will be unzipped automatically, and then you'll open the patch, which is 20.1.0.0, and then after opening it, you'll come here, you'll double click on it so that it opens, and then you'll come and say install, and then it will run. From there, it will give you this option that says you will have to click on next on this screen. From here, you click again on next, and then you install, and then from installing, you just click on finish. Then your system will be on the latest version. And then how you know is that on the screen, when you launch your SASMs, before you click anything here, just look at the left corner here. It needs to say version 21.0.0. This is how you know that you have successfully updated, or this is how you know the version of SASMs page that you are using, by looking here at the top. Before you even put in your passwords, just here, this is where you see it. Now, as soon as the SASMs page is updated to the latest page, you are not done. You need to make sure that you are also using the latest version of the file structure, because these two tools, they speak to one another. If there is a misalignment between them, then it will not upload your database to the dashboard. So everything needs to be in sync. So the latest version of the value structure, it is 7.0.0.1. And then you will see this information when you launch your value structure. Immediately it launches this page. Just look here at the bottom right. And then it needs to say version 0.0.0.1. This is how you know that you are running on the latest SASM value structure version. So once these two tools are confirmed that they are running on the latest, then you are good. If it happens that no, you are still running on an old value structure version, then you need to visit the visit the DDD dashboard website. You just type www.dbe-dashboard. Here we have the address here. Okay, the address is not included, but you just have to go to our dashboard web page. I'm sure Musa will type it for us there on the chat, which is www.dbe-dashboard.co.za. And then it will take you to this page. When you get to this page where it says welcome, you just have to click on log on. After clicking on log on, you just scroll down. And then when you scroll down, you'll get to a part that says value structure. And then it will have an option that says click here to download value structure. So this information will be just opposite to the value structure icon. And then you click it, and then it will download into your system. And then you will also do the same. You will go to your downloads, setup, and then if you are having maybe more than one setup, the latest one is going to have like 3, meaning to say maybe you'll be having, you downloaded it previously, you download it again. So the latest number that you are going to see on the setup, then that's the one that you go with. meaning to say you don't have to say, okay, I need to run setup number 1. Setup number 1 is the old one. The latest one will be having the highest number. Like it says 3 here, maybe it can say 4. Just know that one is the latest one. But if you were not having the setup already, the old setup already on your downloads, it will not have this number. So don't let this number confuse you. If you were not having the setup already downloaded previously on your system, it will just say setup. But if the setup was downloaded previously, maybe for a previous version, then when you download it again, because already the name setup is existing in your downloads, then that's when it will give it this number to say 1, 2, 3, based on how many files we have in your downloads. So don't let it confuse you if it happens on your system. It is just saying setup, it's not having a number next to it. It's fine, it's still okay. And then you'll double click on the setup, and then it will run, the pop-up will appear, you'll click on next, and then you continue to say install, and then next until you get to a screen that says finish. And then when you get to this finish, you'll see that there is a checkbox that says launch Valistrator. Leave it selected as it is so that it can launch the Valistrator, and then that's where you will have an opportunity to confirm that the version that you are using of the Valistrator, it is actually 7.0.0.1. So after installing it, click on finish, and then allow it to launch. And then once it launches, just confirm this number. It's saying 0.0.1. If it's not saying 0, if it's say maybe 7.0.0, just know that it needs to be upgraded. The fact that it is saying 7 doesn't mean that you are not on an old patch, so you can continue with it. No, it needs to say 7.0.0.1 for you to be able to do your uploading successfully. Now, let's now look at the term to date weekly submission tab. You need to go to the dashboard, to the website. There it is, www.dbedashboard.co.za, in order for you to be able to access or to see the term to date tab that you're talking about. This means you need to have your login profile created for you as an official, for you to be able to access this, to see the term to date tab. And then you type this on the URL at the top. You don't search it on Google search, because it will give you all the dashboards that we have. Just type it at the top on the URL. I will show you when we go to the live wire. And then after typing it, you press enter, and then it will take you to this screen that says welcome. This is the website, the landing page for the website. And then you'll click on log on. And then after clicking on log on, it's going to take you to this screen here at the bottom. And then when you get to this screen, then you'll have to type in your username. I'm sure we all know what is our usernames and passwords. And then after typing a username, which is normally your name dot surname, capital letter name dot capital letter surname, you punch in your password, and then you will click on log on. Your password, and then log on. Immediately after clicking on log on, it is going to take you to your landing page. It depends on your level. If you are a district official, it's going to take you to your district. If you are provincial official, it's going to take you to the province. If you are a school principal, then your landing page is going to be your school, like it is on my screen here. So this will be your landing page. It will be having a Jankile Secondary School, and then it will show the information and everything, and then your term to date will be here. So at the moment, maybe after the session, if you log into your dashboard and then you don't see this tab, do not panic. Just know that it is not there because we are at the beginning of the new year. You have never done any term to date submission. This tab is going to start to be visible from tomorrow after your submission. So this means tomorrow you are doing your submissions. It will still not be there. It will still not be there. But if you check on Saturday, you log on your school's dashboard just to check if your submission is there, then you'll see. You'll start to see this tab. So it appears there by automatically as soon as your school starts to do the submission. If maybe your school is not doing the submissions for term to date, it will not appear the whole term. It only becomes active as soon as your school starts to do something on their site. So this is the tab that we're looking at. And then under this tab, ladies and gentlemen, it is different to the summary tab. Under this tab, we are only having 3 pie charts that you're going to speak to. And this pie chart speaks to your school's data as of last week, Friday. So you are going to see your weekly learner attendance, which is the first one. The second one is going to be your weekly educator attendance, this one. And then lastly, we are going to have task marks completion. This is where you are going to be able to see the progress of what is happening in your class while you are sitting in your office if you are the principal. If you are a circuit manager, while sitting in your office, you can easily track if your schools are administering the tasks as per the program of assessment that they have submitted to you or they have submitted to the curriculum officials. This is where you will see it here, if it is being implemented or it is being followed, because it will say on this date, this task needs to be captured, meaning to say after 2 days when they submit, then there needs to be a movement on this percentage. At the beginning of the term, it's fine to be 0. When we are in the middle of the term, it needs to start now to say 10%, 30%. And then the closer we get to the end of the term, the higher the percentage needs to be to show that something is happening in the school. So this is the power of term to date. It gives you your school's data in real time. It makes monitoring easy. Now, this is the overview of the tab. So from here, when you are on the dashboard, when you scroll down, it's going to take you to this part where it's going to show you 3 tabs. And then the first tab is the weeks. And then next to the tab, there is a number. So under the weeks, when it says 10, it's telling you that your school has been submitting term to date 10 consecutive weeks, counting backwards. So this is where, as a principal, you need to be to start your data management processes and check if, okay, we are on the 4th week of the year since January. So this means I'm supposed to be having 4 submissions counting to where we are now. And then you are seeing on your dashboard that you are having only 2 submissions. This is where you start to meet to have a conversation with the administrator to say, look, we're supposed to be having 4 submissions so far based on the number of weeks that we have been attending. But I'm only seeing 3, I'm only seeing 2. What happened to the other week submissions? Then the administrator will have to explain. And this way, if maybe it was because of their workload or their recklessness, then immediately they start to see that as a principal, you are monitoring as much as maybe you don't know SASMs, but immediately they start to see like, okay, I'm being monitored. They will start to do their work as well to say, I don't understand. I know teacher X submitted their task marks last week, but now I'm looking at the task marks, I'm not seeing anything happening. Did you capture those assessments? Because sometimes they don't capture them. They just put them somewhere on a cupboard. So if you start to do your data management processes and then you make follow-ups, that's when the administrator will start to see like, okay, then I also need to do my work and not say my principal doesn't know SASMs. I can just say no and then he'll believe me. Because now the dashboard is giving you what is happening on SASMs without you having to go to the SASM's computer. So this is the submission history for the weeks that have been submitted. You can clearly see it will show you the week ending date for each submission that you have done. So if there is a week that is missing, it is simply saying for that week your school didn't submit. And then remember, it is recommended that the schools needs to submit for each and every week. We don't want to be having the missing data submissions. Every week, the schools needs to submit. The next step that we are seeing is educators. And then we have the number as well. The 21 is representing the number of educators at the school. And then the first thing that we see is the educator name. On my side here, you are only seeing a key because of POPIA Act. I'm not allowed to have access to the names of the individuals in the school because mine is just to be able to read the data and interpret it. But for you as an official, based on your level, for you as a principal especially, you will have access to the names of these educators because you are the custodian data of your school, at your school. So you will have their names there. It will not say educator key, but it will say it's straight Janki Litia, meaning to say this is Janki here, and then I'm looking at Janki's attendance. And then the primary subject that we are seeing here doesn't necessarily say Janki is only teaching Afrikaans first additional language, no, but it's simply saying Afrikaans additional language is one of the subjects linked to Janki as an educator. This is the teaching load. So this does not only mean the subjects that we are seeing here, the educators are only teaching them. No, When you open the educator profile, that's when you'll see the other subjects linked to the educator. On the far right here, we have attendance this term and attendance last week. So this is the percentage as the term progresses. And then the last column here speaks to the attendance as of last week. If you want to see how your attendance was at the school for last week, this is where you come. If maybe you are a principal and then you are not at the school because of a workshop that is happening for more than 3 days, and then it started on Wednesday. So you have not been at the school from Wednesday to Friday. So you are wondering who was present, who was absent during your absence. It's easy. You just log on to your dashboard for wherever you are, and then you just check, okay, last week I was not at the school immediately because they knew that from Wednesday I'm not going to be around. The attendance started to drop. Already you have this information. On Monday, when you come to the school, already you know Jangi was not at the school, Musa was not at the school. And then already before you get a report from the deputy or from whoever, you know these things that, okay, last week I was not around and people were also not around. Or last week I was not around, wow, all my educators were at the school and everything was happening the way it usually happens when I'm around. So this is the power of the dashboard. It gives you the better idea of what is happening within your school or within your schools if you're a circuit manager or a senior manager. The last tab that we are going to speak to is learners. And then we can see that for the school, we're having 385 learners. The same thing for the learners. The first column speaks to is giving us the learner names. And then because of Popia, we do not have access to the learner names, but it's only giving me what we call the accession number or the learner key. But at the school, the principal, because this is the principal's data, he will have a clear names of Shangilitia, Musa Similan, and so forth. And then the age as well, the grade. Absent this term, you can see that, okay, this term alone, Jangi has been absent for 6 days. Then I need to have a conversation with Jangi and find out what is happening, especially if this absenteeism is impacting on Jangi's performance. Then you know already. So this means even before the educator comes to you and say, principal, you know, Jangi has been absent for 10 days. You are like, yes, I know. I was just waiting for you to come and report that to me so that we do our investigation as to what is happening with Jangi not coming to school. You are not surprised if you're using the dashboard because you have it. Maybe if you log in once per week or twice per week, you can see exactly what's happening with your educators, your learners, and the number of days that they have missed. And then absent for last week, this is for the term, this is for last week. You can see, okay, though he has been absent 6 days this term, but at least last week, Jangi was at the school the whole term. He was not absent. And then the intervention status here looks at my performance, and then it will say that, okay, Jangi is struggling academically and he's at the risk of failing. Therefore, he is recommended intermediate intervention. You see now, so even before the educators come to you as a principal or SMT and say, X number of learners in my class is failing the subject, you are like, I've been waiting for you to come because we have been seeing that from term 1 that this guy, because we has progressed from last year into grade, the next grade, he has been struggling. And then we have been waiting for you to tell us, like, I have referred this learner, this is what I have done to support the learner. These are the intervention steps that I have done. Already it's there on your dashboard, you know it. So at the end of the year, when maybe the educator is complaining like, no, in my subject, I cannot be having 6 learners failing simply because maybe they didn't do proper interventions during the year. You are like, no, that is correct. I've been seeing this information from term 1 that these are the learners that have been consistently appearing each and every term without any change or any increase or improvement on their performance, that in December, they had the risk of failing. So it doesn't come as a surprise. It has been there from day 1. Like when we start now, it will start to appear from term 1 and term 2. And then term 3 and term 4, it will disappear because we believe that the best time for the interventions to be implemented is in term 1 and term 2. Term 3 is a bit late, and then term 4 we are busy with the exam, so there's no real time for support to be happy, for intense support to be happening at that time. So this is what you find under the learner step. Please, ladies and gentlemen, feel free to engage with me using the Q&A, and then for some questions that maybe Musa wants us to answer live, then he will direct them to me, and then we'll answer them live. And then those that does not require that, then he will immediately reply to them as we are progressing with the session. Now, I am now going to look at the task marks pie chart. Remember, we are looking at term to date, and then we said under term to date, we have learner attendance, educator attendance, and lastly, task marks. So I am now going to look at task marks. What is task mark? We need to understand first what is the kind of information that we find under the task mark pie chart. The first thing is that task marks allows us to investigate what tasks have been captured by looking at the percentage and then by looking at the subject as well, you can see, as I've explained previously. It allows us to verify correct capturing of a task name. You can see if at the beginning of the term, because when we get SSM, sometimes the program of school-based program of assessment within SSM is default, is at default. So it's not aligned to your school program of assessment that maybe you have submitted to your curriculum official or to the subject manager. So at the beginning of the term, this is what you need to do. The principal, the SMT, and the administrator, they need to sit together and align the SSM's program of assessment to theirs in their school, so that when SSMs is saying task 1, it is due, the same thing needs to be happening within your school's program of assessment. But most of our schools will find that they go with the days that are there on SSMs. They do not spread them evenly according to their school program of assessment. And then when you print their register, it will show you like all the tasks at the schools are going to be assessed in one day. And then you'll be like, how do you do that? Because you'll be killing the children. We cannot assess all the learners on all the tasks on a single day. We need to split the days on the task evenly throughout the term. And then we split them according to our program of assessment. So this is not the work that needs to be done by the administrator to comply. It needs to be done by the SMT together with the administrator. Or the SMT needs to select certain maybe senior educator to say, sit with the administrator and help him to align this program of assessment of ours. And then at some schools, they even print it and give it to the learner so that they can take it home, so that the parents as well can know that, okay, on this date, the kids are going to write an exam. On this date, this is what's happening at the school. So that if maybe the parents are planning to go on an emergency, they know that, okay, I can't take my kid because he's writing an exam. Maybe because it's not a serious thing. Let me just ask my neighbor to look after him while I go in there, so that at least he doesn't miss school, because today they are writing an exam. So that's the benefit of aligning it. It also allows you to view task completion per grade and per subject. You can see how they are progressing with their task capturing from day one. Today, when the school submit, tomorrow when the school submit, on Monday, it will be saying 0%, which is okay. That other week, it can say 0%. But now when we come to the end of February, then we expect it to change, because now teaching has happened. And then surely some task has been administered. So those tasks, immediately they are administered and then they are marked, recorded. The recording sheet needs to go to via the correct protocol or process of monitoring until it lands on the administrator's desk. They start to capture. We don't wait until the end of the term. Immediately as we administer, we capture, and then as the school is submitting each and every Friday, we are also submitting the data. That way, we make it easy for the monitoring to happen either by the principal, the circuit manager, or other senior management officials that use the data that we are submitting, curriculum officials maybe, or even the district officials, to see if the schools in the district are really complying with the program of assessment that they have submitted to them. Now we are going to investigate the correct capturing of a task name. Remember, I talked that at the beginning of the year, like it is now. So the SMTs needs to meet with the educators, and then they need to plan how they are going to administer their task throughout the term for all the subjects. And then that was done normally last year. It is there already. It's just a matter of it being submitted to the administrator as they validate and everything. Once we have the correct page that allows us to do the validation, then we do that. But at the moment, because we don't have the page that allows us to open the curriculum module, it's fine. We capture what we need to capture. But immediately we are good. We get the correct page. That's what we need to do, so that it helps us to monitor and track the progress as the term continues. Now, this is the overview of the term to date, looking particularly at the task marks tab. So here it is saying 98%, this is it. And then When you click on this pie chart, it is going to take you to a section called task marks. When you click there, it's going to take you to this section. And then when you get to this section, you have an opportunity to say, okay, I'm interested to see a holistic view per crate of task marks to see how the crates are progressing. Or I actually want to see per subject because I have an interest on a particular subject that I know that last year as a principal, it didn't perform well. So this year, I don't want our learners to be assessed within a short period of time. I want the tasks to be to be done on time so that we have enough time maybe to plan a rewrite or something. So we don't want them to be under pressure. We want to have them split it evenly throughout the term so that if there is a need for a rewrite, we still have time to do that. So you're like, I want to view by subject. Then you click on by subject, and then all the subjects will appear. And then you can easily see the subject that we're interested on. You can easily see the subject that you're interested in to see, okay, the subject is still doing well so far. So let me keep on looking at it and see how it goes as the term progresses. And then when you are here, you can just hover over this bus to show you the breakdown of the task completion per grade. And then when you click here as well, the list of all the subjects that are offered at the school will be populated for you to choose the subject that you want to view. So when you come here, it's going to give you the breakdown because it's per grade. But if you do per subject, then it's going to give you all the subjects, and then you just choose the subject that you want to view. Now, after clicking on this tab, you have clicked on the subject, let's assume, and then you have also decided like, okay, I'm now under the subject. I am interested on business studies subject. So you just click on business studies. And then when you click on business studies, it is going to take you to this slide. So at the moment here, we are at the school view. But immediately you click on business studies, it's going to change the aquamarine box here. It's going to change to say business studies, meaning to say we are at the school Jangilitya Secondary School, but at the moment we are only focusing on business studies. We are not looking at the holistic performance of the school, but rather we are looking at business studies. And then it will show that, okay, it's for business studies looking at term 1. And then from there, you will be able to now scroll down to the task achievement section. Once you select the subject here, it will load the subject page. And then when you get here, you just scroll down to the task achievement section. And then when you get here, you'll see it's going to give you task achievement breakdown per grade, not per subject, per grade. Because already the subject is there, is business studies, meaning to say the grades that are going to be populated here are the grades where the subject is offered. Now we can see business studies is offered from grade 10, grade 11, grade 12. It's an FET subject. That's why we are only seeing these 3 subjects, these 3 grades. So there is an interesting information that you can, insights that you can get from this particular view when you are under task achievement. You can see grade 12, grade 11, and grade 10. And then this is the task breakdown, the average percentage per task for the learners so far based on the completion of the data. Now for task 1, you can clearly see, okay, this subject did well. And then, this grade did well for business studies, grade 11, not that well. But my grade 10 achieved the lowest. What is the name of this task? Then you start to hover. Remember, we are doing what? We are investigating the correct capturing of a task name. Because each task is having a name. We don't have a task that's not having a name, so that you know exactly which topic you need to focus on when you plan your intervention. So if they are not having the names, then it's going to be a problem. So each task needs to have a name linked to it. To say it's a case study, investigation, oral, it needs to have a name. Now we are investigating that. So now I want to know what was the name of these tasks so that I can better plan with my educators to say, okay, I see now you've done task 1, task 2. But remember, task 3 is that task that always gives our learners a problem or a challenge each and every year. So in order for you to have this information, you must know the task name so that you can plan accordingly with your educators. Now, when we are here, when you place your mouse cursor over this percentage, it's going to give you a pop-up like this one. And then when you hover over this one again, it's going to give you a pop-up. And then I want us to zero in on these 2 pop-ups and see the kind of information that we find inside here. And what does it tell us, or what does it give us? Does it help us or not? Now we are zooming in into these 2 pop-ups. The first one is highlighted in red. The second one is in green. Let's look at the one that is in red. The first thing here, it's saying 1, it is highlighted. What is 1? How do I plan my interventions not knowing what is 1? What was being assessed on this particular task? And then I can see it was a test. The weighting was 25. The due date was 26 February. It was captured March 20. So this is not even a week later. It's late, it's like 2 weeks later. So now, what is the process at the school? What is the policy? What is our rules at the schools? How long do we give to the educators? What is the time frame that we give to the educators that after administering a task, after 3 days or 2 days or 1 day, the results need to be submitted for monitoring so that you can capture them on the system? You ask yourself, at the school where you are seeing this information, what is the process there? What is the time frame of marks capturing after a task has been administered? Because here, it's more than a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. 26 February, it was captured on the 20 March. And then here again, I don't even know what is this task name. So at the bottom here, they are saying this is the incorrect way of doing things at the school. Now let's look at the green side. When I zoom in on the second on this task, the second one, and then I zoom into this box, I can clearly see it's speaking to me. Data needs to speak to the person who's analyzing it. It needs to give you answers. It needs to be able to give me possible scenarios so that when I go and meet with the person that I need to meet with, already I am informed. I'm not in the dark. That's the whole idea. That way my work is going to be easy. I don't have to be crunching numbers and thinking about things that are not existing. Already I have my data there telling me that this was a test. It was an exam. It was flagged on SSMs. The weighting 75, due date 16 March. It was captured on the 20th. This is how it needs to happen. We don't want the task to be piling, waiting for the end of the term. How are we going to monitor this percentage if we are waiting for the end of the term? Are we going to go from January until April, having a 0% here? And then now in April, when we need to be focusing on term 2, that's when we are busy focusing on term 1, capturing. No, we need to make sure that when we close the schools, if everything was provided to us on time, then everything is there, we are able to print the report cards. But if it happens, maybe we received some papers late from the department, it is fine. But that should tell us that the only outstanding information on the system is that one of the paper that we received late. Not everything for all the subjects, only that particular one, because we have been honest, we have been in line with the program of assessment we did at our schools. And then it says at the end of the term, we issue out the report cards to the learners, unless maybe we had an exam during that term and then the papers were submitted or they arrived late from the department. That makes sense. But we only wait for those results, not for all the other tasks or the other work that was supposed to have been done during the term. So we encourage our schools to do this process because this is the right way. This is the process whereby the SMT sits with the administrator at the beginning of the term, and then they align their system according to their papers within the school so that they can speak to each other. At the beginning of the week or at the beginning of the month, the administrator can print the calendar from SSMs, put it there on his notice board, and then he can also give a copy to the principal, the HOD responsible, to say, This week, I see that we are expecting a total number of 6 tasks from different grades within our schools. And then the designated SMT member will meet with those educators to say, guys, I see that Janki, on Friday, on Thursday, your learners are writing task 1 English. Mr. Similani, your creative arts needs to happen on Friday. So you keep each other on the loop, and then to make sure that are we ready for the task to be administered on Friday. Then Janki will be like, no, this task is a bit tricky and then my learners are struggling. Can I maybe move the date to next week Friday? Immediately that agreement is reached, the SMT member immediately goes back to the principal, informs the principal. From the principals, they go to the administrator to say, you know what, Janki, there is a task that needs to be submitted on Friday or needs to be administered because of 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you please move it next week Friday? That way, your SASMs and what is happening on the schools is in sync. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask for permission to stop sharing my presentation and go to the live dashboard to show you how to do this analysis or how to read your term to date tab. Musa, while I'm going to the dashboard, please feel free to add or respond to some of the questions maybe that might need to be responded to live.
Thank you very much, Yankee, for that very clear explanation. And of course, what has come up from the questions, and Yankee also touched on it to say, at this present moment, colleagues, of course, our current patch does not allow us to access curriculum. However, what we want to emphasize is at the time that the patch becomes available, we want to be sure to begin to take care of this process. As Yankee has indicated, quite a couple of questions here, Yankee, but because of time, I will request you to finish your demonstration live, and then we will take as many questions as we can with the time remaining. Thank you.
Thank you, Musa. Thank you, Musa. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to demonstrate using Northern Cape, but because of personal information of data, I'm not going to go deep in anything. I just want you to see the tab that I'm talking about. And then if you check, you will see that I'm in term 3. Why I went to term 3? Because if I go to term 4, you see the tab is not here because we are only starting our term to date submissions tomorrow. So it will not appear until on Monday. So that's why I had to go to term 3 because term 3 is having the term to date. And then when you click here, there's the pie chart that I have speak to. We have the learner, educator, and task marks. So when I click on task marks, immediately it takes me here, right? Then when I get to task marks captured, I have an opportunity to choose either by grade or by subject. And then on the demonstration, I chose by subject. Now it is listing all the subjects offered here at the school. And then from here, I am able to select the grade that I want to view.
I think the deeper analysis is only able to be done on a school.
Yeah. I need to be at the school view, and then because of that, I can't. Let me try to use the anonymized dashboard. I just wanted to show you the term to date. So from there, maybe I can use the anonymized dashboard and take a school. So this is the dashboard that was designed for training purposes, whereby we are using anonymized dashboard. We don't know which school, we don't know anything, but it is not having term to date. So I wanted you to see the term to date. So when you are here, you're going to click on task marks. And then from task marks, you will select your subject. Remember, I'm within a school. And then when I get to the subject, I will have an opportunity to select the subject that I want to view. I will take social science, and then I will click on social science. Can you see it's now saying social science for school 110? So the information that I'm going to be viewing now is for social science. So I'm going to scroll down to achievement, task marks achievement. And then when I get here, I get to see all the grades that offer social science. You can see from grade 4 to 7 where social science is offered. And then this is the task marks breakdown. When I hover over this subject for this grade, for grade 4, task 1, can you see the pop-up that I talked about is appearing? I can see that this was geography, and then it was due date was 26 February. It was captured on the 9th of March. This is what we want to see. This is what needs to happen on the school, whereby immediately a week later after assessing, the task needs to be captured. A week later, it needs to be captured. So this is what I wanted to show you, ladies and gentlemen. And then I think from here, then I'm going to stop sharing my screen and then quickly attend to the Q&A questions, because I see that we are left with a few minutes before 1 o'clock to close the session. So Musa, I'm going to open the floor and hand over to you as well to maybe start addressing some of the questions that came up. Before I hand over to Musa, ladies and gentlemen, I see that Musa has launched the polls. So can I kindly request you to start engaging with the polls by giving us your feedback based on the sessions, your experience on the session, how it went. Thank you very much. Musa.
Thank you very much, Yankee. And thanks to our colleagues for such engaging questions that we've been seeing in the Q&A. I was able to answer quite a few of them, and we'll refer to even the ones that I've answered, Yankee, only because they might have some relevance for the broader community here. That's one. And two, there are those that I think do need for your input in an answer. The first one from Mark Thomas is speaking about an inability to upload his data as a result of an error that's telling him that the file is already in use. So I'll just read his question. When I try to upload the term to date or final upload of the term over the internet to your systems, I get an error message that says cannot upload. This file is already in use. What do you think might be happening there, Yankee? And also our colleagues from MS that we've invited, please feel free to also raise your hand and make your own input as well to some of the questions, particularly of a technical nature. We would really appreciate that. Yankee? You are on mute, sir.
Thanks, Musa. I think it will be nice if maybe we can connect with Mark offline, because normally once the value selector it is installed and you run it, it shouldn't give you an error. I think that error came with a certain patch which was addressed. At the moment, it shouldn't be giving that error. So if the error is still happening, then I think it needs to be escalated to our help desk, whereby they can launch a proper investigation onto the error. But it was happening because of a certain patch. I can't remember it was which patch, and then it was updated immediately. So if the problem error is still persisting, then I would suggest maybe the official submits their school's database and then just send an email to our help desk for support so that they can look into the matter.
Thank you, Yankee. And Mark also had another question with regards to using errors and omission. Are we still using errors and omission in the Northern Cape, Yankee?
In Northern Cape?
Yes.
No, Northern Cape, we're using the value structure.
So it's very possible that we do need to connect with Mark, or alternatively connect him to help desk, which Mark will be sure to do at the end of this session. Because of time, Yankee, I do also want us to look at the other questions here. The first of which is, how do we patch SSM systems that are using program file 86? The latest patch seems to be directed to program files only. Any response on your part there, Yankee?
So this one, it's a bit, it's not tricky, but if it is in program file 86, it still needs to patch. I think I would like our MS guys to come in there, but it shouldn't be a problem where your patch is lying, depending on where you downloaded it. Because normally if you download it from Tucson, that's where it's going to land.
Thank you for that.
I would like our MS officials as well to also weigh in on this one, just so that we provide the officials with a clear answer before they go back to the school.
In the case that they don't, we will be reaching out to Samuel as well for that particular issue he's having. And finally, a question that I think needs to be heard, the answer again. How do we display accurate data if only the March patch will allow us to access the curriculum? What's your response to that one, Yankee?
This is actually the spot on. So with regards to this one, we don't have immediately when you start to capture. At the moment, the schools are busy with their admissions. Immediately start to capture that admission form. That's when you start to implement your best practices of capturing accurate data, because you make sure that whatever that we're capturing is correct. We don't want to see a type whereby a learner is captured as born in 1991, whereas the child is actually born in maybe 2003. And then we're having learners 18 years old simply because of a typo. So immediately start to do the admissions. That's when you start to make sure that you are capturing your information correctly. And then immediately start to assign your learners to the class. That's when you start to implement your best practice processes. Meaning to say, by the time you assign the subjects, the learners are assigned to grades already. They are assigned to classes. They are assigned because they are assigned into their register classes. All the registers are assigned to educators to say there is an educator responsible for this class, the new class for the year. So we are only waiting for curriculum to be open. But as you are submitting to us, you are not submitting to us information whereby the learners, 5 learners are not allocated classes. 5 learners are not allocated grades. So that's where you start your data management processes at your school. From the moment you capture your admissions, you will make sure that the information that you are capturing at the later stage, you will not have to go back to correct or rectify because of a typo that happened. I don't know if I've answered the official. So by the time we get the curriculum to be opened, we are only waiting for curriculum. Meaning to say, even in the class, if everything has started to happen, they have even submitted some of the tasks to you, you have kept them safe, or they are sitting somewhere in a designated SMT member. They are just waiting for you to assign the subjects, and then once the subjects are assigned, you validate the system, you start to capture. But those marks have been monitored so long. They are not just sitting there. Someone has monitored them, and then the second person has come to monitor them as well to say, these ones are okay, they're just waiting to be captured. So these are the processes that I was referring to.
Wonderful. Thank you for that response, Yankee. I think it's very clear. And colleagues, we've gone slightly over time. I want to thank you for being part of this session. Quite a large number of us that are here today. We appreciate that. And again, I want to bring your attention to the polls. If you could assist us with the polls. And I just want to bring attention to the last question in the polls. A new question that is not normally asked. We are very interested in your response to that one. We're simply asking, do you need any further training with regards to the subjects that we've covered today? Please indicate accordingly. It will assist us to target the particular province that you're in to make sure that we bring training, even more detailed training with more time in some of these subjects. And Yankee, thank you. I see you've put up our team list here, colleagues. This is our team on the ground. And of course, our help desk number is also here in our email address. Should you have any question or concern or assistance required, please don't hesitate. And with that, I'm Usasi Melani coming from Johannesburg. I thank you for joining today. Yankee, over to you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us today. And then we hope to see those who couldn't make it today, tomorrow, when we revisit the topic. Please take care and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Bye-bye.